Hello everyone, I'm Chris from the Loyalty Security Alliance. Welcome to our December webinar with Intellicheck on preventing loyalty fraud. I'm joined today by a special guest moderator, Peter. So I will let Peter introduce himself first, and then we'll go to Brian at Intellicheck. So good morning, Peter. How are you? And can you please introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Peter Friend. I founded Global Hotel Card 20 years ago. We issue gift cards connected to Expedia and Viator for employee recognition programs, and was pleased to meet Brian through a mutual colleague a month or two ago, and learned so much about what he's doing both in credit cards and gift cards, and thought it would be interesting to hear what he has in mind for loyalty programs as well.
Yep, and I'd like to thank you. You actually brought Brian to us for this webinar, so thank you. That's why you're here guest hosting with me. So with that, good morning, Brian. Can you please introduce yourself and introduce your company?
Yeah, sure. And thank you both for having me here. I'm the CEO of Intellicheck, and we are basically an identity validation company that I'm going to bet a lot of people listening into this have gone through our system and never knew it. We're always in the background, but we're in about 30,000 retail stores for everything from new credit card issuance, account lookup, loyalty programs. We're in 8,000 or more bank branches. We're in automotive, title, anywhere you need to know that it's really you, that's where we're at. And I would say we're hyper accurate at detecting if you are real, to the point that 28 state level law enforcement agencies in the US use us to help identify people.
And well, we're going to talk about loyalty fraud and account takeovers, but do you have any, Peter's going to ask some questions, but I'll just start off informally with a question that we weren't prepared for. But when we were discussing before the webinar today, you said that account takeovers are way up, and that's what we're seeing at the Loyalty Security Alliance. But do you have any, what are you guys seeing in terms of account takeover? What's the increase this year?
So there's a company called Javelin Research that does a lot, and they go out to consumers, and account takeover went up 354%, 23 over 22. You know, I'm looking forward to see what happened this year. The report will be coming out early next year. But account takeover is really easy to do because if you think about it, they don't ask you for a lot to take, to find out, is it really you? You know, they usually ask for some sort of government issued ID and maybe your social security number or something like that. All of that is super cheap to buy, given the amount of data breaches that have happened. In 2023, so far this year, over 1 billion records have been breached. So the data to become any one of you is already out there for sale. You know, and not to go too much into it, but and I pray for the family of the CEO of United Healthcare, but their breach earlier this year put out there the data of basically 1/3 of all Americans, right down to the exact information on your driver's license, which then can be used to create a fake one that law enforcement can't even tell by visually inspecting it. So you can't expect, a hotel clerk or, a store clerk or anybody to be able to look at it. If law enforcement can't, they're never going to be able to.
But I think you're mentioning law enforcement is also important. I think part of the growth of loyalty fraud this year is because if I do credit card fraud and take over a financial account, maybe law enforcement might prosecute me. But if I take over a loyalty account, it's so obscure, law enforcement doesn't really know what the value of a point is. You're not going to get prosecuted, right? So this is one of the reasons for growing. And I would also add, we're seeing growth because of some credit card regulations in Europe. PSD2, which makes credit card security regulations are increasing, so it's just making credit card fraud harder. So we're seeing a big growth this year. So thanks for sharing that data. We are seeing the same at the Loyalty Security Alliance. We're busier than ever this year because of growth in loyalty fraud and account takeover. So looking forward to hearing how your solution helps in various channels. So Peter, did you want to start off with the first question?
I do, and that leads into it because I think everybody on this call we're preaching to the confirmed about the problem, and I want to learn more about your solution. So maybe first of all, you can talk to us a little bit, Brian, about what the solution has been in terms of knowledge-based authentication, historically, and then it'll lead into your technology and why your tools are a better solution.
Sure. So, knowledge-based authentication, I think, used to work before all of the data became readily available out there. Like, where did you used to live? You can look up every address probably I've ever lived at. So that doesn't work. My age, my name, my email, all those things are for sale. And then I always used to laugh at my friends. I'm really not on Facebook anymore, but when I was, there used to be, hey, answer all these questions and then repost it. Your friends would put it out there, and I'd be like, you guys are idiots, because basically everything you're answering is a knowledge-based authentication question. So between hacks and sort of, what I call identity fraud, people put the information out there. So, and just in, identity fraud, where you give the information out, hit about 15 million